Jesus. We had a good day. We're still having a good day. We just need direction. And I'm talking about, when I say direction, I'm talking about that somebody. Get in line. Because this is good. Brother Gabe was very thoughtful, forthright, thinking about what needs to be done every day. Good job, Brother Gabe. That's all right. It's earned. See, it shows those things where everything can find a life. I mean, I spent a lot of time finding one night. He spent a lot of time.
I want to see how many I put in backwards.
Is somebody ready to get in the line here?
Is that good? Okay, so, oh, Gabe's point, I have gum, and if I want maybe YouTube hearing all the so I have some papers, but I don't know how much I'll follow or get off track.
Whatever you do, be fast.
Yes. And I've been trying to find the right timing. And so I guess now is better than any. So I wrote some that, let me make sure I got the right page. Can you tell I'm like really prepared? Okay. Because I wrote 2 pages recently, but there's some stuff that I had wrote that I was looking back on that just refreshed and that were just really big in my testimony. So, okay, there we go. So, you don't like to talk about before you got saved, but I was telling someone it just shows how big of work God did for you, and it just, you just want to express how of a case you were, and it was hopeless until God came. So, a lot have said that I was always quiet and reserved, so can't fully know how much of an urgent case I was, especially when I was just 14 and COVID had hit. I was happy that we had less church. And when it was on, it wasn't like I was listening, it was just something in the background, where your parents had you all sit down and church was on. Doesn't mean you have to watch it. And I really started to just want nothing to do with church and to just live my own sinful way. Through COVID, it only got worse. Started dressing how I wanted to dress because I didn't like sticking out or getting mistaken for being Pentecostal. And so when at stores and stuff, I was so embarrassed, and I didn't want to put anything towards religious people. And, I wanted to look normal. And, you don't want to be peculiar. And what God says we are. And so I wanted nothing to do with that. And I started to look, act, and be more like the world. I didn't care about the church anymore and thought it was just a bunch of strict rules that I didn't want to follow. And even just some people I didn't care for too much. And at that point, I think I wrote in the back. Yep. My life, I just wanted to fully get away from church and anything to do with what I saw as religion. And, because I just saw this as another church. I knew no other churches. I didn't grow up going to all these dead churches. It was just, this is church, and this is where we had to be. And so I just didn't want nothing to do with that life. And I know if I was 18 at that time, I know I would have been gone. I did have no desire for it at all. And I just, you hear what all the people on the world get to do, and you hear of a normal life, and you're just like, why do I have to be here? And now it's just like, oh my word, just where were you at? Where was your thinking? Like, could you not see any of this? And that is just like now so hurtful to think that I thought that way. And just thinking this is another church. And this is so much more. This is family. And just knowing that at that time I would have left if I could have. So I'm thankful that I had to stay here. And anyway, I'm just very thankful for that. From then till the 2023 meeting, I made so many bad choices and had such wrong, miserable thinking. I have made my life to what I wanted it, and obviously it wasn't no good. And nothing I did could make it better, but I'm thankful for our preacher that gave me counsel and let me work in the orchard. That was such a big thing because I had nothing to do with the church. But he gave me some counsel. I was actually, it was when all the markets were wanting, and I almost started doing something at the markets, but he gave me this job, and that was huge because it was something here. And I'm so thankful for that. And and he let me work in the orchard and at first I did not want to do it. I did not want to have an outside job in the heat, but all they said is that I had to try it, so I didn't have to commit to it. So it's just, I don't have to commit, I can just try this, and I wanted to make some money, so that was just a huge thing. It didn't seem like no harm in trying. And even though I wasn't saved, that job kept me on church grounds and probably out of a lot of trouble. Because when you're working, there's no time for that. And I actually ended up really enjoying that job. Anyways, I just want to show how grateful I am for that job, because that's where I filled a lot of my time at the church, and you have little interactions of church people passing by, and now it's been one of my favorite things, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's something huge. I'm just so grateful for it. And even though I can't do it right now, it's kind of on pause, I just still am thankful for when I get to do the small stuff, because I also enjoy seeing all the church people, and you kind of just get to know what's happening, and it's just good fellowship. And now the start of the meeting. And I told it before, I did not want the meeting at first, because it just got in the way of things. It got in the way of my schedule. It got in the way of something that we were going to do, plans. And so first I did not want the meeting. And so that was the first night. The first night, I wasn't really paying attention. You know, just like any other church service, you just kind of sit there and, you know, you're not really paying attention. The first title was Seek, Hate, Love. The one thing that really stuck with me that he said is call on him while he is near. And that just stuck with me and got my brain going. He's not always gonna be near. And you don't always have the chance of this meeting. And, you know, we didn't know how long it was gonna be at all. So it just got my brain working, but still, I was still frustrated and upset. But I was trying to tell myself, you know, I'm not. But deep down, I just like frustration and probably anger. It probably was anger too. And so the next night, Tuesday night, the next message was be safe. And that night, even though I didn't get saved, it was a huge turning point for me. And it was a bunch of stories of, I don't know, some of the stories were preachers that had said stuff against Brother Ray, and you saw how their life was afterwards. And just a bunch of scary stories. And I think it was I didn't want to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he was really, he had that a lot. And that got me thinking, okay, I'm going to cut off going anywhere, you know, because I think I was truly fearful that something would happen. And also, when I was younger and stuff, I knew what I was doing. I knew it was wrong. I knew it. And I guess I didn't realize, but it was like, you know, condemnation. And you knew it was wrong. But that's the way you wanted your life, and you maybe had a little bit of happiness, but it would go away so quick, and you'd be back to your miserable life and just feeling so miserable. And so it's like this meeting, I also knew I needed something. And nothing that I was doing was working. And so it's like, you know, you see so many people happy around here and stuff, and you kind of just, you want to live that way, and you can't do that living in the world. You got to pick one. And so he said, being at the right place at the right time is safety. Being at the wrong place at the wrong time is not necessarily safe. And he said, it is good to be safe and sound. And I wanted to be safe and sound. I wanted that peace and calmness. And I knew I did not have any of that. And anyway, I feel like that night was also just, felt like a hell message to me because it was so scary, and I felt like this is my only chance. If you don't take this seriously, you won't have another chance. This is your time. And I felt like I would just turn back worse if I did not take it seriously. And anyway, make sure. That was my turning point, and where that night I was fully focused and determined to do anything. And honestly, I don't understand that now, because how do you go from wanting none of it to absolutely none of it to now you're willing to drop everything? and cut out everything. I just don't know how I was so determined. And I guess I was just so scared and fearful. But just wow, just how my mindset changed to just wanting to want a different life. And so, and he also said, isn't it good to be saved? And I just sank, because I knew where I was at. But I knew I wanted to be saved, and I wanted God, because I wanted change for my life, because I knew how bad it was. And then Friday, Miss Debbie testified. And all this testifying, especially Miss Debbie and Tabitha, like, you got to realize how big testifiers are for people. And that's just like Miss Debbie talking about her experiences, just everything that helped me. And then Tabitha getting rid of stuff. And that just really made me think, okay, now what's some stuff that is worldly or something that I can get rid of? And, and I was already cutting out all music. Like, music was a big thing for me, and I just cut it out. And, whenever I worked, I listened to church. That's church music, church preaching, Bible study, and then went to Bible study. And, I didn't want to do that because that's, I don't know, I felt like it was taking up useless time, So, stupid reasons. And so I made myself go to that every time. And it was just full on getting rid of anything and everything that I could think of. Because to me, that just wasn't worth it at all. And so Tabitha, mainly, I was like, okay, going through my closet. And that was a big thing. Anything that I would not wear at church, automatically trash bag. And so I went through all of it, and it felt good. It felt, I don't know, like something, I don't know, it felt good doing that. It wasn't shrug, because I knew it was like I was getting a step closer. And then, I got saved really close in the meeting, so I feel like my testimony isn't that long, and I just tell the same thing over and over again. But it's also good to refresh. And, because Saturday is when Tabitha testified, and then you have, I think that next Friday, because it was Wednesday, and then the next Friday was the message, giving up to become worthy. And I was just glued to that message. Now I can't tell you much, but I could tell you what I was feeling. And it just hit me really hard. And because it was like God was showing me my whole life and how useless it was, and just where I was at. And you have all these loving people, and you just didn't think anything of it, and you were ready to leave. And so he was just basically replaying my whole life. And it just really hurt, because I knew I was hurting him. And I just knew I'm just not worthy for him to even save me. And so that was a really strong message. And, that was also the night that it was really long, and, you could just feel God and feel it, and everyone stayed really long. And I'm just so thankful that when I got to that pew, he gave me a chance, and I knew that he was listening to me, to everything that I was saying. And usually I don't cry. That wasn't me. I could be sad or something about it, but I wouldn't cry. But that moment, it's like, it just hit me all of a sudden, and just immediately when I start praying, it's just like tears. And I just didn't know where that came from. It's like I just felt all the weight of my sin, and I just wanted it off of me. And I knew and I realized that none of the things I was doing was worth it, and that this church is real. This church does love you. And I just knew I wanted none of it. And so my words were, and I just felt I was at my low, at the bottom. And I said, can you just take it all away? I don't want any of it. None of it. Can you just take it all away? And immediately, I just stopped crying. And it was just, everything was, they talk about the static and stuff. It was just silent and peaceful immediately. And it just felt so nice. Like, you're talking about the weight that you're carrying around, that's how it felt. It felt like a weight on me. And then I remember I was trying not to smile because I just said this really deeply, I knew I meant it, prayer, and it just didn't feel right that I wanted to smile. And then sat in my seat, and it's like, you can just breathe finally. And it was just that peace. And then I knew something was different almost right away, because when I sat down, I wanted to shout. That was something that just wasn't me at all. Because, I didn't want any religion, and, I didn't want any of that. And I didn't want to cause attention to any of that. And I just felt like shouting and getting it all out. And, I kept quiet because it was a very serious time, and that was just weird. That was so weird to me. I just wanted to let it all out. And, I was still feeling this way. And it's like, the more it went on, like, I knew my mindset had changed. And I just knew that I loved God. I loved His church. That was going to be my whole life. I knew I was not going to leave. I wanted to be at this church. And everything changed. And I think it was actually the next day. I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't know what exactly happened. But I just knew I had to talk to preacher because, he would know something. At least, maybe he would be able to kind of direct me at least what next to do or what is this. And, I was going to hold off because it was just the next day, but it was such a big change. Such a big change because the mind was one of the hugest things for me. And that was just so different. It was just so full of love. And that was just so different for me. And, I enjoyed Bible and enjoyed everything. And so that next day, I think I was going to hold off to talk to preacher and stuff because it was getting close to church time. I was like, no, I can't do that. I have 30 minutes before church. Surely he can just take 10 minutes and talk to me so I can just, so I can stay, this won't be on my mind through all of church. And so I got there, and it was just preacher and Grandma Becky, and what does he say? He said something like, he was telling I know he definitely told some scripture, but he's like, well, looks like we got another one or something like that. And I'm like, what? What did he say? I was like, didn't want to say it at all. And then I was like, okay, okay. And then I'm getting all, my spirit's getting full, and I'm just getting so excited. And I'm like, can we just shout? We're fixing to leave and walk up, and I'm like, can we just shout? Like, can I finally let it out? And because it's just 2 people. I can handle 2 people. So we just go shouting. And so it was so full. I just felt so full. And I'm so thankful for the meeting and for God holding on to me and giving me my chance, even though I was so undeserving of it. And I'm just so thankful for this church and for all the friends, spiritual friends that I have. And I was writing some of this down, and I'm just thinking about the before and the after and all what God has given me. And I was so undeserving. Like, He's given me this church. I have the best church that has God, and I have the best preacher, and we have the best counselors, and he put me in the right place at the right time, and I have a family now. I'm starting my own family now, and that is just crazy because 16-year-old, before the meeting would never see this coming and would just never think of this at all. And so I'm so thankful for the husband that He's given me and for the baby He's given me. That is just out of this world, and that is His plan. And so I'm just so, God has a plan, so I'm just so thankful for that. And I just feel like we all need a shout. Woo! I love you, church.
How about our ladies come and sing for us?
Cappella.
Acapella. I can't even say the words.
Savior looked down and saw me, an old sinner. In mercy he spoke to my heart. He saved my poor soul and lifted my burdens and gave me a brand new start. Well, I've got something to shout about. Heaven's my eternal home. That wonderful place where I live forever and ever again to roam. Not one little grave in all that fair land. Heartaches and tears are unknown. I've got something to shout about. I know I made heaven my home. Someday I must cross those chilly dark waters, but Jesus will be at my side to pilot my soul to heaven's bright portals forever in loved ones abide. Well, I've got something to shout about. Heaven's my eternal home. That wonderful place where I'll live forever and ever again to roam. Not one little grave in all that fair land. Heartaches and tears are unknown. I've got something to shout about. I know I made heaven my home. I've got something to shout about. I know I made heaven my home.
I tell you what, when you touch that altar and say, I love you, Jesus, something's going to come out of that. Amen. The truth of the heart.
Ba da da da, ba da 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 da, ba da da da, ba da 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 da, ba da da da, ba da 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 da, ba da da da, ba da 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 da. I'm looking for a city where I long to be. I can't help but wonder what it's gonna be like to see. It's on its way, the city of the King. With a twinkling of an eye, it's coming, coming for me. In that city, I long to be. I wanna see the jasper walls and pearly gates, walking on the street of gold, behold Jesus' face. To see his beautiful face. Won't be long, it's headed this way. Getting close now, it could be today. I'm so excited to see
what all is waiting for me. A sweet paradise for all eternity. Looking for a city where I long to be. I can't help but wonder what it's gonna be like to see. I'm looking for a city where I long to be. In the twinkling of an eye, it's a coming for me.
Is there any more home-written ones y'all can do? Any that Otis wrote? I mean, probably.
Probably, better be. And the mic's on working sometimes. Here we go.
I agree with Gabe. It's a whole lot easier when Brother Jay says, "Hey, you come here now." It's a whole lot easier that way. I guess I'll just start in the beginning, or before the beginning, before the meeting. The Lord had showed me a long time ago that I was not saved. There was no question about it. You know, people, you hear stories and everything, and they're like, well, the Lord showed me I wasn't saved, and I needed to be saved. And all of a sudden, you know, they're saved. No, I knew about it for a long time, which good side of that is that's what happens when you grow up in a church that preaches the truth. You have that opportunity to know at an early age. Now, it's kind of funny, Brother Bill, last Sunday in Sunday school, you brought up that scripture about a stony heart. And with your memory, I'm sure you remember, but you preached an entire message on having a stony heart. And I don't remember exactly when that was, but I know it was while I was at Hino, and I've been at Hino almost 9 years. And I know that because the very next day, on the way to work, I bawled and cried, and I knew that's what I had. I had a stony heart towards the Lord. I knew that I was never going to be saved until that was gone. And I kind of want to start off by saying I thank the Lord for this meeting, because I am not a very confident person at all in my abilities or anything else. And the Lord is one thing at a time has really helped me and my confidence in my salvation. So I thank the Lord for that. And it's kind of like, again, you were talking about this past Sunday school, you were talking about what did the Lord do for you? You know, be prepared to tell somebody, what did God do for you? And that's exactly, you read that scripture, and exactly went off in my head was a new man. I am not perfect by any means. I struggle every single day. I still feel like I am one of the least, but I am one of his. So I thank the Lord for that. I also have a whole lot less control of my emotions than I used to. But anyway. Anyway, at the beginning of the meeting, I've said it before, I was very angry, very angry. As soon as the message came, or as soon as it came out that we were having a meeting, I had plans. I immediately knew that Crest doesn't have meetings for just a week or two. We go for forever. Like when I was a kid, we had the 100-day meeting or something like that. I knew immediately it was my plans were done. and it made me angry. Now, I still have trouble with my emotions and anger to a degree, but like Miss Amberly has said, it's not long-lived. It's just a short little, hey, calm it down. It's okay. I've actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I know I'm jumping around, I'm sorry. But a couple of weeks ago, some guys came into my shop, and I run my shop. They don't need me to run my shop, but I run my shop. And my response to two gentlemen that was in there was not good. Now, I didn't call them names. I didn't use bad words or anything else. But I was very not nice to them. And it just came all over me after they left us. There was no reason for that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And I went out looking for them, and I found them, and I apologized to them. Now, they had no idea. They were like, wait, you were? Okay. But I knew it, and I knew I needed to make it right. So, like I said, the Lord's still definitely working on me. But anyway, back to the meeting. The very angry first night. Second night was kind of like another nail in it of, yeah, we're going to go. I don't remember what night it was. I think they said it was Friday night that Mom got up there. At that point, that was, Mom testifying was huge because she made a comment talking, I don't remember exactly what your comment was. I just remember it involved something along the lines of almost all of her children were saved or something like that. And in my head at that point in time, I was the only one that wasn't. And I was like, wow, thanks, Mom, for calling me out. Thank you. I know she's hard on herself, and I thank her for staying with the stuff and testifying and doing what the Lord told you to do. I am not upset with my mom or my dad in any shape, form, or fashion. Them coming here and doing what they were told to do by the Lord is the reason I and my family is here today. So, thank the Lord for that. Anyway, so I don't remember which night exactly it was, but at one point during the first couple of days, we didn't make it to Saturday yet. I was in my backyard after services, and I was angry. I was upset. I don't remember if I prayed or what it was, but it was something the Lord told me that night, looking back at it. The Lord told me that night this was my meeting, that he was going to save me in this meeting. And that made me happy. I was extremely excited. Now that did not fix the fight that it took to get from there to there. And I think one of the reasons why that was so big was because, like I said earlier, I knew I was lost. I knew it. There was no doubt. There was no if and or but about it. I knew I was. And every camp meeting, when we still had camp meetings, I knew, because the shouting and the people being saved and the preachers talking about it afterwards, that camp meeting was huge. Camp meeting, God showed up in this church. So every single camp meeting, for about as long as I can remember, I would pray, Lord, can this be my camp meeting? Lord, can this one be mine? And come and go, just never was. Now, again, that comes down, not the Lord, that came down to me. And that gets into the next part of, just because I was all excited and happy that the Lord had shown me that, did not mean I was happy about this meeting. I was still very upset about the meeting. We went on for a little while, and after I got to, I need to be serious. My kids, my wife, my family, I need to be serious. And I would pray and pray and pray, and not getting anywhere. And Sarah testified talking about how, like Elijah said today, wanting to want to be saved is how I heard it. And so that became my new prayer was, Lord, I want it. And I didn't. I really didn't. The world would say I was not a bad person. I didn't do this. I didn't do this evil thing. I didn't do this. But I was not right with the Lord. No, we're close. And my wonderful wife would take both of the kids and take them completely away from the pew every night. One, because they're children and she was trying to keep them quiet. But two, I knew it. She didn't say it out loud, but I knew she was trying to keep all distractions away so that I could hear church. And I thank her for that. Finally, it got to where I wanted it. And at some point in between all of this, it literally, my wife kept texting me at work and everything else. Oh, this one got saved. Oh, this one got saved. Oh, this one got saved. I got to where I didn't even want to look at my phone when it dinged. I literally I looked at it one time and said, oh, this one got it right, and I threw my phone. I don't care. Which is horrible. That's absolutely horrible. If that's where your mind is at, you're absolutely horrible. And I also, along with what Chandler testifying the other night, I apologize, Angelina, but I was very upset at you for getting saved. Again, that's not right, and I'm sorry. But it aggravated me to no end. And again, I'm not supposed to think like that. Anyway, I kept praying and kept praying, wanting it to be. Finally, I wanted it. I'd come down here to this altar, and it was like it was time to pray, and I needed to, and I was doing it because I wanted to. And it's just like all of a sudden, it shut off. Nothing else happened. So, and it kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And me with my short temper and everything else, I finally got to where it was just okay, Lord, you literally stopped. Or that was what I was thinking. You literally stopped. I can't feel nothing. I don't hear nothing. I'm back into my own thoughts. I'm just going to stay down here until people think that it was an okay time, and I'll get up and go back to my seat. Again, not good. My brain's kind of going all over the place now. There was the devil the whole time was on top of me every single day. And I've only told one other person this, maybe two. I don't remember if I told the second person. I know I told my wife. During the meeting, I testified not too long ago. I take projects at the absolute worst time. I took on a project during the meeting, and it was strictly because I felt like I could get the money for some parts I wanted for my car. And I thought it was going to be a simple project. I thought it was going to be in and out, done, and I wasn't going to have to worry about it. It wasn't going to be a big deal. Well, the devil fought the entire time. From the get-go, it was a giant ordeal. No time to work on it. This, that, and the other, trying to get in. So it just frustrated me even more. And every time I tried to work on it, something went wrong. Something happened. And the devil was fighting really, really hard one day. And we were taking offerings what felt like every single week for Brother Shock because he's traveling in and out and everything. And the devil beating me up, and I'm trying. I'm already beat down. And that story you tell, I don't remember the people involved in it, but they were taking up the offering for the pews. And he told the devil if he didn't leave, he'd buy a second one. Well, right there in my shop, I told the devil if he didn't leave me alone, then all of the profit that I made off of that, I was going to give to the preacher. I was going to put it in an offering. And he didn't. He kept bothering me. He said, all right, Lord, money's going in the offering. It's done. Now, we have to skip ahead a little ways. I finally got the project done. And then the guy that I was doing the project for took forever to get me the money. And by the time I finally got the money, and he ended up shorting me, by the time I finally got the money to pay off the bill that I had to pay first and then take the profits to give to in the offering, Brother Shock was gone, and we didn't have ability. So I held on to that. I put it in a special spot. I did not touch it. In my head, that was no longer my money. That was to go to Brother Shock, because that's what I told the Lord I was going to do. And the card that we were just recently sent to him, I was able to finally put it in there and give to him. So thank the Lord for that. But anyway, now that I've jumped way ahead, we'll back up. There was multiple times in my life where I felt like I need to go talk to Brother Jay. If I could go talk to Brother Jay, then he could tell me what's going on and this, that, and the other, and I just never would. I don't know if it was a pride thing. I don't know if I was scared. I don't know if I just wanted to hold on to everything. I really don't know. But Brother Shock started preaching, it felt like every service. You know what's between you and God. You just have to get rid of it. You just have to get it out of the way. I don't know how many hundreds of times I prayed, Lord, show me what's in between us. I have no idea. I knew it wasn't my kids, because a long time ago I remember hearing people testifying about they didn't want to give up their kids. I knew my kids were safer in God's hands than they were in mine. So I wasn't worried about that. Yeah, he can have my kids, because they will be safe in his hands more than mine. It wasn't my wife, because again, she's safer in the Lord's hands than she is in mine. So I got to thinking it was my car. And everybody knows I like cars, and I really do like and enjoy my car. So I thought I was going to have to give that up. I thought I was going to have to give up mechanicking and working on cars, and I thought that was it for a little while, and this, that, and the other. And eventually it got broke down to, okay, that's whatever. You can have the car. You can have it. I don't care. If I got to sell it, it's going to make me sad, but I'd rather be saved. And I think that was a good point, but that we didn't get nowhere with that one. People, again, talking about getting rid of things and stopping things. I stopped listening to the radio. I still, to this day, have only turned on my radio once or twice since the meeting and in my truck, and that was because I was falling asleep and I needed something to keep me awake. The cutting distractions, cutting this out, cutting that out. And then I didn't want to read the Bible. I didn't want to be this, that, and the other. Somebody was like, well, I think it was, they took it from Miss Angelina, but the whole turning off all electronics or whatever and listening to the Bible. I really don't want to do that, but okay, fine. So I would use that I would eliminate parts of it to read my Bible and start, which I didn't get nothing from specifically, but I know the Lord was using it. And then Miss Tina asked me one day, are you able to listen to Bible at work? And I immediately shut that down. I didn't want to listen to Bible at work. Nope, can't do it. Nope, it's not safe. Can't do it. I was very rude, I'm sorry. And then it just hit me one day, yeah, you can. All these other people are doing everything, and they got 2 headphones in, and yeah, you can. So I started listening to the Bible. And there's been times where it wasn't safe, and I needed to be able to focus on work and everything, and I would take it out at that point. And there's been times since that I have to because of work and everything going on. But I can remember it just still made me so angry every time one would get up in the chair and testify. Over and over and over again is what it felt like. It felt like it was every day somebody new was in there. I got saved. I'm like, But anyway, there was at one point, Brother Shock preached a message, and I don't remember if if it was in his preaching or not, but they were talking about the children crossing the Red Sea. And I was standing in the back trying to stay awake, because that was another thing my wife was on me about, was I kept falling asleep in church. Now, I still don't understand specifically why. It was probably the devil fighting, but I still, every once in a while, just my body will not stay awake. But I was standing up in the back because I knew it was important, and I could stay awake better there than I could in my pew. And I remember something along the lines of, Lord, if you will part the waters, I will walk to you. And I remember thinking I got help that night, and things were a lot better for about a week. And like I've testified before, I was coming home from work and had to take a different way, and I still think about it every single time I see that fence. The fence has nothing on it. The fence doesn't say anything. There's nothing in the area. Just as soon as I hit there and my eyes went up to that fence, I knew, no, I wasn't saved. And part of what I thought I was everything was better. And then Brother Greg testified, and you were the first one I was happy to hear that you had been saved. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. Everything's better, yay. And then I hit that fence that day, and I knew something wasn't right. And then, anyway, my anger came back 1,000,000 times over. And I knew it wasn't again. I'm trying to figure out where to go next with this one. But I didn't know what was between me and the Lord. Didn't have a clue. And we made it up to, goodness, that Sunday, July 9th, 2023. The Brother Shock preached that morning. Yes, Brother Shock preached in the morning service. And I'm begging and begging and begging and begging, and I'm praying and praying. And he was already talking about going home. I knew the meeting was coming close. I said, it very possibly could be the end. I got to get saved. And I still didn't know what was between me and the Lord. And I felt like I was finally getting somewhere in his preaching. But then we broke for lunch. And I was like, okay, great. We're finally getting somewhere this afternoon. Maybe that's what I'll need. I need this afternoon service. And that was a service. He left. We didn't have preaching that Sunday afternoon. That destroyed me. That terrified me and destroyed me all at the same time. But let's back up just a little bit. At one point, I don't remember when, but I believe it was you. I was talking about the 4 men that let the 1 man down in front of Jesus, and asked if somebody wanted to do that. And I stood up and came down here to this altar, and there was 4 men that came down here. That was Brother Kenneth, Raven, Brian. I'm sorry, I don't remember who the 4th one. It might have been Brother Greg. I don't remember. I'm sorry that I forgot. All I know is I felt like that is what I needed. I needed somebody to put me in front of God. And again, I think that was another stepping stone in the right direction. And that prayer meant a lot to me. A lot. And I thank y'all for that. But again, it got to that point where it just shut off. So we're back to that Sunday. And my wife had been all over me about, you need to go talk to Brother Jay. You need to go talk to Brother Jay. that afternoon after I got home. I don't remember what my wife had going on, but she had to take care of something. So she wasn't home. All my other kids were asleep or in their rooms. And normally I would either play a game or I'd watch TV or something, entertainment of some sort. I didn't want to do nothing. It was so heavy on me. I couldn't get away from it. It was like a house was sitting on top of me. And I was having problems breathing. I couldn't do anything but lay there. I was like, well, I guess this is the end. The meeting's over. Brother Shock's gone. I'm just not gonna get saved. It's horrible, but that's what it is. And my wife got home, and obviously I'm sure she could tell something was wrong. And she kept talking about, you need to go talk to Brother Jay. And that's when the iconic line of I went and I changed into pajamas. And she told me, you really think you're going to go talk to Brother Jay in pajama pants? I said, if I go talk to Brother Jay, I'll put on real pants. But I was outside taking care of the chickens, or I had texted Brother Jay. I said, can I come talk to you? Can I come talk to you? And didn't respond what felt like an eternity, but found out he was asleep. And I was taking care of chickens, and my phone dinged, and I just told God, I said, God, I will still go. If you let him respond, I will still go talk to Brother Jay. And all of a sudden my phone dinged there a short time after, and it was Brother Jay. He said, sure, come on over. I said, okay, I told you, Lord, I'd go, and I'm going. And I went in, which is when I thought my wife was going to get the hint. I put on real pants. And I got in, and I went to go see Brother Jay. Told her I'd be back. I went. And I remember walking in, and he was actually looking for the letters that go on the little house for Tori. And he stops, and he looks at me, and I said, and the Lord had finally showed me that it was me that was in the way. Wasn't anything else. I'd done given up everything else. It was me. I was in my way. And I told Brother Jay, I said, I don't know how to get myself out of the way, and I can't be saved. Or something along those lines. He immediately starts praying. And then a little while later, he has me read Ephesians 2. Because I had told him at one point, it just feels like, kind of like Miss Tina's testimony, God was way over there, and I'm way over here, and no matter how much I pray, I feel like I get all the way up to the edge, and then I fall off. I can't get to him. So that part where it's a gulf, there was a gulf between us or something like that. I didn't think I'd ever forget that. Anyway, he had me read that multiple times, or twice. And at one point, he said, which I just got to thinking about this the other day. He said, God's already done the work, and God's already heard you. You just have to believe that he has. And in my head at that exact moment, and this very well may be in what you meant, in my head at that exact moment, that he was telling me that, yeah, you've already prayed 5,000 times down here. God's heard you. He knows you're right. He knows you're honest about wanting to be saved and everything else. You just have to believe that that he can do it. And I was like, wait, I can believe that. I know I can believe that. And his Bible was open, and he tapped it, and he said something along the lines of believe in the Bible. And, well, yeah, I can do that. I can believe the Bible. These were all things I could do. Yeah, I can do that. Now, my thought the other day when you were saying that the Lord has already done it, you just have to believe that he's done it. As also, he did it a long time ago when he was crucified. He did it a long time ago. He was just waiting on me to realize it. So, anyway, At that point, I already felt better. I didn't know hitting over the head or anything like that, but I felt a lot better already. And then he gave, oh goodness. Anyway, then I came home. I was definitely, he said I have some homework for you. That's what it was. He said, read Ephesians 2. I can do that. Again, at that point, it's like a light switch flipped. It went from I can do that. That I can do. That I believe God. I believe the Bible. I believe everything in the Bible. I may not understand everything that it says specifically, but I believe the Bible. And he said, I have some homework for you. Read Ephesians 2. I said, yes, sir, I can do that. So I got home, and he had texted me later on. It was, I always get this one confused. It was James, yes, my wife's reminding me. James 1:4, I think. The one talking about patience has its perfect work, I believe is how it goes. And so I immediately, when I got home, I got my Bible out, I read Ephesians 2, and I read that verse in James, and then I felt like that wasn't enough, so I read the whole first chapter of James multiple times. And for the next several days in a row, I would read every single time. I would read Ephesians 2 and James 1 over and over and over again. My pastor told me that's what I needed to do, and that's what I'm going to do. And then that Monday, I believe it was Monday. Please don't hold me to all that. I'm not good with dates and times. I just know, yes, it was that following Monday. My wife texted me and she said, how are you? Talking about spiritually. And I said, I finally feel like I have hope. And then that night, I'm pretty sure it was that night, Brother Jay preaches out of Ephesians on hope, having hope. And it was just one thing after another. I don't remember every single service. I don't remember all of it, but Brother Jay took over the preaching for Brother Shock, and that whole week was just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. And then I can't remember if it was either Friday or Saturday. It would have to have been Saturday. That Saturday night, Brother Jay preached out of Ephesians 3. And it seemed like every single line that he hit that part talking about basically, if you're saved, you start understanding the scriptures. And I had never understood or felt anything in any of the scriptures. And it was like every single line, it was something. I was like, yes, 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 yes. And I've gone back in Ephesians 3 and listened to that message and gone over in Ephesians 3 in my Bible. Half of it's highlighted because it was that one and that one. No. Anyway. And we got home that night, and me and Rachel ended up staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that. Just talking about things that were different. Things, something might have actually happened. And long time, and I was pretty much convinced, but I wanted to talk with Brother Jay, and it was way too late Saturday night. I knew that wasn't going to happen. And it was like, well, Brother Jay gets there before at breakfast Sunday morning around 6 o'clock. Okay, I'll go at 6 o'clock. So I got up, and I went over there and sat down and wanted to talk, and Miss Becky asked me, do we need to leave? No, ma'am, I don't care who listens. I just want to talk. Got to talking, and she starts writing stuff down and recording stuff and shouting and everything else, how things are different and things. So July 9th, 2023, that night, as soon as I believed the Bible, is when God saved me. And with the help of this meeting, it has been just helping build upon that, and I thank the Lord for that. I don't understand a lot of the Bible still, but as you just even said this morning, you steadily are learning. So I thank the Lord for that. And a little funny thing, I don't remember how long before, but again, me being in the cars and everything else, I like motorcycles. I still like them. I don't want one anymore, but I still like them. And I wanted to get one, and I was begging my wife, because my wife in my head was the reason I couldn't have a motorcycle. And she basically broke down crying one day. She was like, "Don't you understand? You get on a motorcycle and you die, you're not going with us." Is basically what she had said, which obviously shut that conversation completely down, because I wasn't arguing with that. I still laugh about this. When the day I got baptized, she went home and got my clothes for me. I didn't think about it at all. I have a shirt that has a motorcycle on it. That's the shirt she brought back. So we were sitting in the back afterwards, and I looked up at her and I said, "Since you brought me the shirt with the motorcycle on, does that mean I can have a motorcycle now that I go to heaven if I die?" Anyway, just a little side note. Is it okay if I share something? I don't consider myself any kind of preacher at all. I'm not saying I won't. If the Lord guides that direction, then okay. But I just see it as the Lord has given me something that helped me. Maybe what the Lord gave me will help somebody else. And I'm trying to remember, and I can't. But I think 2 Sundays ago, might have been 2 or 3, I went back and tried to look, and I couldn't hear it again. But either Brother Raven, Brother Jay, or Brother Bill at some point said something about roll call. And immediately that went off giant bell in my head of the Lord's roll call. And that eventually, when he comes back, he's basically going to holler roll call, and your name has to be on the list to have your name called to come. And I have 3 different ones here. And Daniel 12:1, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same name. And that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." You have to be written down to have your name called for roll call. And then in Revelations 3:5, it says, "He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels." You get on the list or get erased off the list. And then in Revelation 21, starting in 23, "And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the King of the earth do bring their glory and honor unto it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So the thought that came all over my head is your name has to be on the list for roll call.
Yes.
If your name's not on the list, you're not getting called. I just want to thank the Lord. As of July 9th, 2023, my name's on the list.
Church missional. Thank you, Brother Levi.
Yes, hallelujah.
What a day. What a day.
I feel like I just got preached to.
I could see the light turned on. I said the girl when he said, I can do that. As soon as he said, he's, he was shouting, you know. He was shouting.
I'm going to try not to be nervous because I still get nervous testifying. But I just have to share my testimony too, and try not to cry the whole time. Okay, so I put it in my phone because it's easier for me to think ahead and type it out. So I'll just read what's on my phone. Before the 2023 meeting, I was much deeper in sin than the church realized. Some people may think because I grew up in the right church that I didn't have a chance to fill up on as much sin. But the devil is sly and isn't going to use something obvious to get you into sin. The person I was at church and the person I was at home were two completely different people. The good side to growing up at Oak Crest is having the truth, but because, like Joanna said, not having anything to compare it to, it would get me thinking of what else is out there and if Oak Crest is really as good as everyone says it is. It is. Just so you know. I used to think the saints discouraging anyone from leaving the church was just so they could keep us from fun, but I now see that they were looking after my soul and trying to keep me from ending up in hell. What I didn't realize was as a blind sinner, I could not trust my own judgment and I did not know best. When some family members saw the sinful ways I was going in 2023 and tried to redirect me, I was so angry. I knew the choices I made and the people I was hanging around wasn't the best, but I thought to myself, I had the situation under control. After all, I have complete control over myself, and I'm not going to let it get too far. Lies, lies, lies.
Looking back now, I had already gone too far. When I was in it, I couldn't see just how bad my situation was. Around the time that the preacher called for a meeting, I wanted to leave the church and go somewhere where I could have religion but still live how I wanted to. But thank God I had just enough fear to keep me here. I had always wanted to be saved since I was a kid, and that was mostly because I was scared of where I would go if I died or when the Lord came back. God knew I needed that fear, and I'm forever grateful for that. The other side to that desire for salvation is that everyone who was saved always talked about how happy they were, and I was always so sad. I thought if I got saved, maybe there could be hope for me to be happy one day too. There were some experiences I had, not only in the meeting, but throughout some years of my life before. I would think I had gotten saved, feel better for maybe a week, then all the anger and everything else would come rushing back. Sometimes when I realized I wasn't saved, I would ignore it for a season because I was afraid of going through the trouble of trying again and failing. But when the sobering of the meeting fell on me, I knew the importance of my soul was much bigger than my pride. I was either going to heaven or hell, and I had to choose. As everyone saw, I struggled for a long time. I tried all kinds of ways and phrases that I thought the Lord would accept so that maybe he would save me. He didn't want me to struggle, but I was overcomplicating it without realizing. I knew what Brother Jim and others had said. God does want you, but I truly couldn't believe that for myself. I knew the idea in my head that God didn't want me was wrong because of what I was taught and all these hard cases that God had saved, but still couldn't make myself believe that he truly did want me. Back then, I didn't trust God. I thought I was the only one I could trust, and that's a sad life. If you can't trust God, you can't trust anyone, and if you sure can't trust yourself. Fast forward to 112 days later, I didn't try to come up with anything special to pray. I just brought what was on my heart and took my chance on God, like the preacher had advised me to do months before then. I prayed, Lord, when you come back, all that I ask is that you don't leave me behind. I didn't even know what was happening. I thought that I was asking for God to save me in the future, sometime between now and when he comes back, but didn't realize he was doing the work right then. Now, ever since that night, here's what I know and what I still have today. I truly, completely in my heart love Jesus and know that he loves me. I have love for the preacher that is hard to explain because I loved him before, but it's just a deeper and truer love now. All my sins are not constantly before me anymore. God is always with me, and what I mean by that is instead of feeling so far away from him, I can now feel him close, like he's just there listening to my every word. And it is so sweet to trust in Jesus. I trust him now instead of myself. I know I've not been the same person since then, and I'm still not even used to the person I've become. And he is faithful to include me when he comes back. That's what I know.
You know what? We just get ready for next week. This is good.
I know it's late, preacher, but I think it's going to kill me if I have to wait one more day. I've been waiting for like over a week now, and I'm like, maybe this will be my chance. And then I wait too long and somebody else goes. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to have to come up here. I don't know why, even after being saved for 2 years, the nerves are still there, but like the devil's been fighting so hard today. Like it's been a wonderful day, but also the devil's like, it's probably not your turn. And then like, I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's a bunch of garbage, and he can just can just go because he doesn't belong here. I feel like I relate to so many of the testimonies that have been given, and they've all been so good this time around, like even more so. They've just been so fresh and so new. It's just wonderful to hear. But starting from the beginning, obviously growing up at Crest, everybody has said that it's a huge blessing, but it is such a blessing you don't realize how good you have it. And I never wanted to leave. I never wanted to be anywhere else. And no matter what happened in life, no matter what we went through, I knew my mama was never going to leave, and she kind of instilled that into us. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter if it's hard. It doesn't matter if you're saved or lost. Just you don't leave. Because there is no help if you leave, unless you come back. But then, that's just a really long road to take. So I knew I didn't want to leave. But I also just always thought, I guess growing up, I just thought one day I don't know if I thought one day I was just going to wake up saved. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it's Crest, everybody's going to get saved eventually. That's just, that was my thinking, which it sounds crazy now because you have to want it. The Lord's just not going to be like, here you go, if you're not seeking Him. You have to actually want salvation. And everybody's talking about when the meeting started, how they had plans and, it was getting in the way. And I'm sitting there in the pew and I'm like, I didn't have any plans. I don't think it got in the way of anything. I was like, oh, wait, I was actually on my honeymoon then. I forgot. I wasn't even here. I was like 4 hours away, which thankfully it was pretty close, so it wasn't like a huge inconvenience or anything. I'm sure the Lord will honor that. It's okay. When you don't give them like 24-hour notice or whatever, you don't get your money back, which we got something a lot better than money. But anyway, it was kind of abrupt. We left the next day after they had, I think it was on Bible study, and preacher called for the meeting. And so I'm calling Mom, I called Grandma, I think I either called or texted Miss Becky or preacher, all these people, and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I needed to know, am I supposed to be here? What's happening? And they basically all were like, well, you have to just do what you feel is best. That was not what I wanted to hear. If I wanted that answer, I wouldn't have asked. I mean, honestly, I could have told myself that. But we did decide to come back. So the next day, we were packing up, kind of in a hurry to leave. And I guess Matthew had messaged the people to let them know we were leaving. And the guy was working on the property on a different place that they rent out. And he came up as we were leaving, and he's like, making sure everything was okay. And we were like, yeah, we just have some family business to attend to, or, I don't even know what we told him. We didn't tell him, yeah, our church started a meeting, so we're leaving our honeymoon to go be a part of it. That was probably just pride because, you don't want people to think you're religious. But yeah, which it is family. So I was like, well, we're not lying to him, Anyway, it's family business. I've been looking at the lights. I can't see. I was at the doctor the other day and I wrote all this down, so it's just crazy. We grew up at Crest. Growing up here, you have such good examples all around you that you do want to be saved because you can see the way that those people live their lives, the saints, and what they have, and you can see that it's real. And I'm not sure where along the way that happened in my mind, but at some point I guess I got so far in my mind that I didn't truly know what I believed, because I knew, okay, this is Crest. We believe when you die, you either go to heaven or you go to hell, and you have to be saved to go to heaven. But, there were times when the devil would get in my head about it so much to be like, I was like, is heaven even real? Are they just making this up? Are they really saved? Like, is that just something, which this is all crazy now, but this is all very real to me. I was like, okay, is this just like a show they're putting on? But I would never really think about it long, because I was like, well, I know God is real, obviously. Like, I didn't doubt that he wasn't real. And so, like, the more I really thought about it, I was like, no, I don't really think they could fake that. Have you been around Aunt Tina? I don't think anybody could fake being that happy. You have to have Jesus for that. If you know, you know. Anyway, but I knew I wanted it. I just didn't know, I guess, how to get it. And Brother Shock preached here for a few days, and I don't remember what year it was, but it was before the meeting, in one of those years during COVID sometime. And it was very strong preaching. And I remember preacher saying something on the last night that he was here about, I bet if y'all tell Brother Shock, one more night and you would have got me, he'll probably stay. And I think a lot of us wanted to tell him that, but none of us had the courage to say it. And I think I was definitely one of those people. And it was really hard for me, because I kept coming back to that, and I felt like maybe I had missed my chance, and I wasn't sure. I don't know, I was confused. And so, but I always knew growing up, they always asked what you wanted to do when you grow up. I always wanted to be a mom. But I was like, I want this to happen in order, sort of. So I was like, okay, well, you're in school, you're still a kid, you're good, you're fine. Well, I was like, okay, then you get saved, then you get married, then you start a family, because that's just the order that made sense, right? But the Lord had other plans. So I'm fixing to get married, and it was just on me so heavy, because I didn't have that yet. And it was like I had missed my timeline that I had in my head. And I didn't know what to do, because to me it was almost like it was over. Like, that was my chance, and I had to take it before that. And I don't know why, that's just how it was in my head. And I remember talking to Mom about it. Poor thing. It's like you go to her with all your really heavy problems. I'm sure she's prayed and cried for us more than we'll ever know. I can't remember what she told me. I don't know, but I think the Lord gave me peace about it somehow. Anyway, and I know I definitely was not a fun person to be around when they were wedding planning. I try to be very organized, and so I wanted everything a certain way, and I'm sure it probably did not come across very kindly. I don't remember, because I was stressed, so I kind of blinked, and most of it I don't remember. But Rachel was very patient with me, and so were all of my sweet friends. Anyway, and goodness. So I'm trying to, it's hard because the wedding happened and then meeting. So we got married. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. And, okay, so we're on our honeymoon. That's the next week. And I think, I was watching Bible study. Preacher called for a meeting. I don't think I was mad. I wasn't expecting it, so I was kind of in shock a little bit. But you would think that, like, I don't know, I look back and I'm like, the Lord must have just given me peace about it somehow, because you would think if you had to come home from your honeymoon, you would be really mad about that. but I don't know. It was so important, and I didn't want to miss it. That was more important to me. And so we got here in time for the first night, and it was pretty serious to me. It just got more serious as it went on. I don't remember really taking it lightly. I didn't think that it would go nearly as long as it did. We were used to, 1-2 weeks. But it was definitely just the Lord called the meeting, He led the meeting, and His Spirit was just so heavy. Not heavy, but you just knew that He was here, and you didn't want to miss out on your time if tonight could be for you. And I did not write any of that down. Let me see. And there was so much good preaching, and I can't remember it all. There's just every day between the Bible studies and the testimonies and the services at night. It was just good all around. And I was also one of those people who was trying to cut out distractions, other music, TV shows, just anything, just focusing on preaching, anything church, just all church. And I remember I really did mean it, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was that was maybe holding me back. Because I really was serious about it, and salvation was something that I really wanted. And I knew that the Lord knew how I felt, but I couldn't quite get there. And looking back, I think I was just holding on to what I wanted and maybe didn't even realize it, but I didn't want to let go of my way. And it's crazy now because it's like, would you really have your way and go to hell over it? Like, you hold on to one thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's music. Like Tabitha she got rid of a bunch of books. Like, do you really want to hold on to that one thing to keep you from going to heaven? Like, that's insane. But anyway, I remember they said Brother Shock was coming, and it really, some of the girls were like, oh my goodness, Brother Shock is coming. Like, that's so scary. We got to get saved before he gets here. Because, Brother Shock, he has a lot of pretty hard messages, and it's hard to sit through that as a lost person, because you can feel the conviction when he's in the car on the way over here. But I really didn't mind, because I was like, okay, well, so far everything we've had has been good. I'm like, maybe that's what I need is Brother Shock to come. Maybe that'll get me in. I think that was another thing of the Lord showing me that it was His way, because I remember growing up, we would hear good preachers at camp meeting and stuff, and I was always like, when I get saved, I want it to be from something Brother Jay preached. Like, it has to be my preacher, which is all the Lord, so that doesn't really matter. But that was what I thought, which was wrong. But, goodness. And then they talked about Grandma's testimony today, and I forgot about that, but that was early on in the meeting, and that made it very serious for a whole bunch of us. It was so strong. It just had a touch on it. Where am I at? There was one message that preacher preached at some point about forgiveness, and that was a very wonderful message. And I was very much trying to seek the Lord and just do anything. I was like, okay, just following everything. And that message gave me a lot of help. I felt like I was getting somewhere. I had some hope then. I had to get some things out of the way. And I wasn't saved yet, though, but I knew that God was working on me. And then Aunt Tina gave her testimony about talked about that gulf between her and the Lord. And as a lost person, you can just feel that because maybe you don't know what it is. It's probably you, but you might not know what it is. But it's like he's right in front of you, but he's so far away and you can't get to him. And Brother Shock preached a message one night, and I can't remember the name of it. I don't remember what he preached. It was really good. I'd have to go back and watch it. But I know after that service, we had altar call, and I think I had gone down every night, just trying and trying. And I did. I tried everybody's testimony. If you're just saying words that someone else said, it doesn't work. You can't just copy it and think that, oh, the Lord heard this once, he'll hear it again. You have to mean it. It's not that you can't say the same thing, but it has to be from your heart. It has to be how you truly feel. You're not just quoting something. And I guess I didn't quite understand that yet, because I remember during meeting, I'd be over in the dorm, and I don't know, every day it's like I'd be thinking about how I was going to get saved, and it's like I was planning it out every time. And I was trying to keep myself from doing it and just let it be God's way, but it just kept, I was like, I don't have any control over this. Why am I trying to plan it out? But the devil was just fighting me really hard the whole time, and I can see that more now than I could before. But after that message, we were at the altar, and after a while, we all went back to our seats. And that was one night that preacher had gone to the parsonage, and it was just so heavy on my heart. And there were a few of us that wanted to talk to the preacher, so we took turns, one at a time, going over to the parsonage and talking to preacher. And it felt like forever. Because I just needed to talk to him. I didn't know what to do. I was at the end of my rope. There was no hope. It was finally my turn, so I went over there to talk to preacher. And I had prepared all these things I was going to say, how I was feeling. You know, I didn't know what to do. And I couldn't get any of them out. I couldn't say any of it. But the Lord, I guess, just spoke. It came out my mouth, but I didn't even know what I was saying. And I told the preacher, I said, I feel like there's a wall. And I don't know if I said anything else. That may have been it. But I feel like there's a wall, because there was something there, and I couldn't figure it out. And I knew it was in the way. And preacher started reading some good verses. I think some were in Romans or maybe some in Acts. I don't know. He read really good verses. Different things about believing. And he read one verse, and I think it talked about something about the Bible. I don't know, but it was basically, you believe that, right? Like, you believe the Bible? I was like, well, yeah, the Bible is always right, obviously. If you think the Bible's wrong, you're wrong. I learned that at Crest. I'm like, yes, I believe the Bible. He's like, okay, and you believe this. And it was like, do you believe the preacher, basically? And I was like, yeah, I mean, if the preacher's not telling you the truth, there's a problem. Okay, you might need to talk to the Lord and find a different church. But yeah, I believe the preacher, obviously, because we seek him for wisdom. We believe what he says, and he hears from God. And I don't remember for sure, but there's that verse about whosoever, and whosoever calleth on the name of the Lord shall be saved. And I can't remember if he quoted that one or not, but I don't know. But I just believed it. And then he said, he's like, okay. He said, then there's no wall. And I'm sitting here, I haven't said a word. He's talking, I'm just nodding, you know. He's like, then there's no wall. I'm like, there's no wall? I'm like, well, preacher said there's no wall. So I guess there's no wall, because preacher doesn't lie to me, you know. I'm sitting here just like, I'm not confused. I believe him. But then I'm like, where do I go from there? There's no wall. I thought that was the problem, you know. And so he's still reading some different scriptures and stuff. And I think he said, now you've done your part and you just wait for God to do his part. Something like that. And then Miss Becky had asked him if he wanted to have prayer with me before I left. So he had prayer with me. And I remember part of the prayer he said to have an open mind and an open heart. And before I left, he told me to be reading Romans. He said it's a good book. And so I was happy with that. I felt better, you know. And so I came back, sat in the pew, and started reading Romans. And y'all were here for like 2 hours after church that night because we were just praying and stuff. It was a long night. And I'm just reading Romans. I just started in the beginning of it, and it was really good. And I remember I didn't get too far before services ended, but the next day I was in the dorm and I picked it up and was continuing to read through it. And I think it's chapter 4. But it starts talking about Abraham and, oh, cool, I put it in here because I never remember, and how he believed God when there was no hope. Can you imagine? There's no hope at all. Like, there's none. And he still believed God. Like, that's crazy. And then in verse 20, it says, he staggered not at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strong in faith, giving glory to God, and being fully persuaded that what he had promised, he was able also to perform. And I remember being in the dorm, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. And there's that verse that was really big for us during the meeting about he who has started a good work in you will finish it to the day appointed. I don't think that's quite right, but talking about finishing the work. And one night, a few nights after that, I think it was Rachel who was talking to me after church, and she's like, do you feel, like, how are you feeling? And I was trying to remember what I said. Like, I was more faithful. I was that he was going to finish the work, was kind of how I worded it. But I remember being down here either the night, I think it might have been the night after that, at the altar after services, and I was praying, and then preacher was up here talking folks through the altar call, and I had said, I think my words were, thank you, Lord, for what you're going to do. And because I just had so much more hope that he was going to do it, that he was going to save me. And I think right after that, preacher said, why don't you just thank God for what he's going to do? And I was like, I just did that. And that kept happening through the rest of the meeting. It was just, I guess when you and the Lord are one, and then you have the thought, and he has the thought, and then he gives it to someone else, and they say it out loud, and you're like, I just had that thought. It's really cool how that works. But it took me a few days to realize, and I was so happy after that when Brother Greg got up there in the dining hall at Bible study and gave his testimony, and then Uncle Kenneth. I didn't get to be in the building when he gave his testimony, when he got saved, but I remember being so happy for them. And I had to look back on it to see what happened, because I always thought, it'd be when you're down at the altar and you would know, and you'd have like a peace and different things. But looking back, I realized and I say the preacher tricked me. God kind of tricked me, but also, I don't know, kind of. But, he said, well, there's no wall. And I fully believed that there was no wall, and I believed it all. I believed the preacher, I believed the Bible, I believed God, and I believed that he would do it. And he did it before I even realized or could fully understand what had happened. And I was just so happy. I remember just smiling, just almost trying to hide it, but I didn't care at the same time. And I don't know, it's been so big since. And I was thinking this week how wonderful it is that your testimony isn't just the day you got saved. It just grows with you, and the Lord makes it bigger and bigger. And I can't imagine being anywhere else or having had any other religion. I mean, this is where the Lord put me. And I just want to thank the Lord. Oh my goodness, there's so much, and I don't want to be up here for the rest of the day because I could. But, there was something else I wanted to say, and I can't remember. I was reading my Bible yesterday, and I was outside, and I finished reading, and I looked up, and there were two little birds, and they landed in the top branches of a tree. And it reminded me, I was looking around, I thought there's all these trees everywhere and all these branches, and they chose the highest branch. And it made me think automatically of the Corn on the Mountain song and the story that goes with it, talking about all those churches they passed up to get to that one church. And the corn on the top of the mountain is what you want. That's where it is. And I thought, out of all the places, they chose the top of the tree. They chose the highest place they could find. And I looked over, because my backyard has a view of the church. And I look over and I see the church, and I'm thinking, we get to go to the highest place and be together and have such a wonderful time, the highest place on earth anyway. And we get to be here and be part of this. And then when all of this is over, we get to go to a place that's even higher than this, which is not, you can't even fathom that. But, oh my word, just the highest possible place, and I can't believe that I get to be a part of that. Man, I just want to thank the Lord for being so good and for saving me. And that was June 21st of 2023 when the Lord saved me. Love you, church.
Amen. That's good. That's wonderful. And we have a wonderful offering, $399. All right. I asked the church to help me, agree with me on this offering, put a blessing on it, and give us a good, safe week. Dear Jesus, thank you again for giving us a good blessing, Lord, today. Good teaching, good testifying, good singing, and good preaching. And Lord, with this wonderful offering, would you put your hand on it? Bless the giver. Thank you for all the needs and being taken care of for the church and what you've done. And Lord, would you, not only that, would you bless my dear friends at Crest? And Lord, now this is the first day, the Lord's Day, and the beginning of the week. And Lord, now as we start for another 1 week, and I ask that you keep your angels close by and keep them safe, keep them hydrated, and not only that, just keep your angels busy. And we want to say thank you for that. And we love you for what you're doing, and continue blessing our preacher
And not only that, Lord, would you bless those that are watching in today? And thank you for all the blessings that you have done for them. And we love you. And just kind of think of anything else, but Lord, would you just help each everyone? We love you for that. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I reckon. Yep. Y'all have a good day. Be safe and love you. You're dismissed.